Hi guys, welcome to the post-match instant reaction show on We Are Tottenham TV. I'm Barnaby Slater from the Spurred On podcast. Check out that in the titles below. You can come and subscribe to me. Check out Ash. Ash, where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me on Southview COYS TV. That's Ashmatic, your boy. We've got quite a few other people on our channel with all different football views, so come check us out.
But this is We Are Tottenham TV. If you're not already, make sure you subscribe, drop a comment. Let us know what you thought about the Tottenham Hotspur 1, Aston Villa 2 game that is literally just finished. A bit of a sickener for Tottenham Hotspur is what I'd say. We played excellently on the front foot, in my opinion. I'm very positive about Big Ange. I'm very positive about the type of football we're trying to play. We made numerous chances. We made 3 gilt-edged chances in the first 5 minutes of the game, but we weren't clinical enough. Let's not forget, we lost our elite superstar striker this season, and this game is maybe one of the first times where I've watched Spurs this season and thought, that is a game that would have had a different result had Harry Kane been playing. Ash, I'm going to ask you, mate, what are your kind of initial thoughts to that 2-1 defeat?
Bentancur. That's it. That's what I got to say. Bentancur. Basically, they scored against the run of play, right? In my opinion. I think the last 5 minutes, we kind of down tools a little bit.
Of the first half, yeah.
Of the first half, yeah. We lost our way, but I thought up until then, we were creating chances. And as you said before, we just wasn't clinical. In that final third, we were either not cutting it back, not gambling, not taking enough chances, risking it, or taking too many touches. I saw that chance of Kulusevski. I was like, oh my days. He's actually beating the keeper.
Yeah.
How do you not finish? Hits the post.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. But I was really happy. Just the actual starting lineup from Big Ange, being so positive, picking a lineup where very front-footed. Took a risk, not playing a centre-back at centre-back. Do you know what I mean? 4
full-backs in our back four today.
Exactly. So a lot of, he will come under criticism, no doubt. But for me, I think it was the right play, the right style of play, and we had the right intentions. Control midfield, I thought we had that, and that's what I was worried about. I thought players like McGinn, Douglas Luiz, I thought even Kamara.
Yeah, Leon Bailey, when he came on, looked good as well.
I just thought that was the area where they were going to take charge of things. And I thought we did quite well. I thought we won the ball quite high up.
Yeah.
I thought Lo Celso was very competitive and also just made it look very easy when he played those, like the pass before the pass, if that makes sense. The key passes.
Yeah.
He was controlling that midfield alongside Bentancur, doing it really quickly. And to be fair, when Bentancur did come off with the little niggle, we're not sure what it is at the moment, but when Højbjerg did come on, I thought he was quite... he was good. He was good.
Yeah, I thought
positive.
I thought so too. I thought Højbjerg said played well. Kind of, I'd give him kind of 6.5, 7 out of 10. What I'd say is, you mentioned Bentancur at the start there, and you mentioned him again. Matty Cash injured him with kind of the second terrible Matty Cash challenge to injure one of our players in just a few seasons. He did it previously to Matt Doherty as well, obviously. How much did we miss Bentancur? I mean, obviously, I agree. I think Højbjerg did okay, but in terms of when we had transitions and being able to play a kind of final ball and get us into good positions, I personally think we would have got much more of that from Bentancur had he stayed on the pitch.
Do you think, being cynical, that they said that put a man on Bentancur? Like, he's the one that knits it together. He's the jelly. He's the one that's going to be that important midfielder. He's the 6. And Emre's got a folder on each player, and he was like, I think Bentancur might start. We need someone that's going to be close to him, aggressive as well, because he's got that, meniscus ACL injury on his knee. He might not be as explosive, or he might not be as sharp. And if we get a man on him and they said, look, Cash, as soon as he gets this ball, I want you to press him high, fast, and aggressive. And I think that's what happened. Unfortunately for us, Cash was late. He got the yellow card, and Emre was happy enough to take him off, and he did his job.
Yeah.
He literally did his job, took him off. And McGinn as well. McGinn did the job as well. Challenges were late, just untidy play, trying to disrupt our momentum. That's what I felt.
I completely agree, because I think that starting 3 in midfield of Bentancur, Lo Celso, and then Kulusevski playing in the 10, it was looking really, really good, really, really exciting. And that's something, if we'd stuck with, I'm going to put my neck on the line and say I think we would have won that game.
Yeah,
I do, because in that first half, as you mentioned, we had all of the game, in my opinion, but we lost concentration in the last few minutes, and that's what happened. But that was after Bentancur had to come off. I hear what you're saying. Look, I'm open to conspiracy theories. Why not? I think it's more possible, personally, that Villa had just had a goal disallowed because of VAR. Cash was really frustrated about it and took it out on the first play he saw, and unfortunately that was Bentancur. And if Bentancur is missing for next week and longer, that will be a huge loss to us. Obviously, we have Bissouma back fit next week, but like I said, I thought Lo Celso and Bentancur looked good when they were on the pitch together. And I guess we should also talk about Bryan Hill, who got his first start for a long time today. A lot of comments not being overly positive to Bryan Hill, but I thought he did okay.
It was a mixed bag for him. I felt like decision making sometimes poor, and I think that's where he lost the ball a lot of the time. And I think that's where people are like, he's not strong enough on the ball. And actually, I think in his mind, he's not quick enough to make a decision. He sees a player in front of him. Does he go on the outside? Does he go on the inside? And sometimes he was going on the outside and he wasn't beating his player. But actually, when he did make his mind up quite quickly, he was able to come inside at times, get that ball off. And then sometimes when he did get outside, he was able to whip balls in, beautiful crosses that some of our strikers should have been on to. Do you know what I mean? Some of our front forward players, our attacking players, get on that end of that, and then actually we could score a goal or two. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the quality was there in the final third, but we just wasn't clinical. And I want to mention Brennan as well. A lot of the players did a lot of running, and I felt when we ran out of steam, that's when we got punished.
Yeah.
And I felt the distances, I always talk about the space between the players. That goal we conceded by Watkins, when Watkins received the ball from Tielemans, I think that was a masterstroke from Emery, bringing Tielemans in. Tielemans inverts because he's meant to play as a wide right player, but he kind of inverts, comes in, thickens up the midfield, and sees the pass early, keeps it simple. He's really good technically. Finds Watkins, they do a 1-2, and there was no pressure on Ollie Watkins whatsoever because we were so front-footed, trying to push up the pitch. Actually, Højbjerg and Lo Celso were out of position, no pressure on them, weren't tight enough, and that's when they got in behind those lines. And then obviously people looking at Ben Davies and they're blaming Emerson Royale, saying too slow, not good enough, haven't got the awareness, not good enough, basically. And this is what the thing I'm saying. As fans, we're very good at scapegoating individuals as opposed to thinking like the context. What happened was we were actually pushing for the game. We did a lot of running, and you could see it. Brendan Johnson was looking so leggy, but the bench was so bare thin that we had no one else to bring on to replace him. And obviously, they're going to push up the field a lot more because we're not able to get back in time. We're running high up the pitch, and then we're having to get back. And then all of a sudden, they score. Like, it's no surprise. It's no surprise they got into the game at that point. Do you know what I mean? And he called it on the 60th minute as well.
So are you saying in terms of that second goal, even though Ollie Watkins got in between Royale and Davis, what we really struggle with is not getting enough pressure on the ball to stop that easy 1-2 from happening. Because I think, from my point of view, and I said it during the live show, I think what happened was there'd been so many attacks and counterattacks in one that we all just as a team were just like, okay, we haven't got the ball, but it doesn't look that dangerous because they were moving the ball quite slowly. But actually then what happened, as you said, is Watkins laid the ball into Tielemans, and Tielemans, because he was new on the pitch and is a, like you said, technically gifted player with good vision, laid it back quickly, a little bit of quick movement, and an early finish with Vicario didn't have a chance.
And that's what I was saying. I know like we like to go gun-ho, 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 but at times, sometimes when you slow it down and then speed it up, that can work in your favor also. And that's what I was talking about in terms of game state. You need to control the game sometimes. I know people hate backwards, sideways, but you're trying to find a small gap. You're trying to find little holes in between the lines. And when you're moving the ball sideways, backwards, sometimes you're just tiring out the opposition because they're trying to press, they're trying to win the ball back. And then that small pocket where that player hasn't got in that position, that's when you hit it. And that's what happened to us. And I think that was the difference. I think with Emery, he was tactically able to be flexible and know actually at times we're going to have the ball and sometimes we're not going to rush it. We're going to be able to. But I think with Ange, and this is no critique to Ange, this, all it was that compared to how we played against Wolves, where we were just so flaccid, we were so null and void, we were like lackluster.
We were waiting for something to happen.
He said, listen, we need to take control of the game. We need to be a lot more front-footed. And I think we saw that. But the problem was, at times, we lacked that technicality in that midfield where we could slow it down, we could control the ball. And you saw it time and time again. Porro miscontrolled the ball. You saw Emerson Royale miscontrolled. Even Udogie miscontrolled. Bryan Hill miscontrolled. Because at times, like, we just didn't know when to slow it down. Even Kulu sometimes made a few mistakes where I'm like, just take an extra. Sorry, the other way around. He took too many touches. Too many touches, and that was with Bryan Hill as well. Too many touches at times, and that's when we lost the ball. Instead of making a simple pass, but even still, sometimes we were too close as a unit. if you open up the pitch
Yeah.
and you spread out, that player's not going to miss that player. They're going to spread out. They're going to make that pass because we couldn't see the pass, and that's the reason why we were holding on to the ball way too long at times. And then we lost possession, and that's when it broke down. And then they quickly transitioned.
Okay. Before we go, I want to talk a little bit about some of the players on the bench. I want to mention a little bit Oliver Skipp. He came on for the last kind of 10, 15 minutes, and I think his performance today in that 10, 15 minutes was basically exactly the same as every cameo he's had this season, where he just doesn't seem into the pace of games. He's obviously not getting any rhythm because he's not playing any games, and he looks a little bit lost on the pitch. I want to ask just where you think Oliver Skipp's career goes from here, because I think if we were able to, with numbers, if our midfield wasn't completely decimated by injury in January, I would be tempted to try and get Oliver Skipp a Premier League move on loan to try and get some minutes under his belt and get him up to the kind of level again that he was when he was on loan at Norwich. And I have Norwich fan friends who think he's the best player that they've had there for years. I think at the moment it's not looking great for him.
It's not looking good, I'll be real. But the thing is, we're so light in numbers. Do you risk taking another player out of that midfield because Bentancur's come off injured? The Celso was dying out there, you know.
Yeah.
He was shattered. And so the more they play, obviously, the more match fitness they come. But it comes down to technical ability, because at times when we needed that killer pass, I'm not saying he hasn't got it in him. And again, you're right, sharpness comes into it, rhythm comes into it. But at times, there was a final ball I needed him to deliver, like a cross or a diagonal ball. And it just wasn't there, like at that time when we needed it. And we needed to be in that game when we're chasing it, we're 2-1 down. We kind of need that quality in midfield, and sometimes he lacks that. He has industry, he has legs, he's got energy. That I can't, take away from him. And him as an English player as well. That's something we got to know. I don't think they will get rid of him because of the English
homegrown
quota. That's it.
And just one other thing, Man City away next week, obviously. Eric Dyer was dropped today for Emerson Royale. Yeah. Do you think Dyer will come back in against Man City and maybe Royale was brought in because of Watkins' pace? Or do you think Royale will keep his place against Man City?
That's a good question. And we're playing them next week.
Yeah, next Sunday, I think.
So we got a whole week to recover. It all depends on how Ange sees it.
What would you do? What would you do?
Me personally?
Yeah.
You know what? Emerson's got his ways about him. He's got a mistake in him, but at least he was brave and he allowed us to play the football that we wanted.
Okay.
There's pros and cons, and a lot of people critiquing him because he's not good enough on the ball. High up the pitch, I agree. In that final third, that's when he goes missing. Yeah. But as a centre-back, I thought he was doing the short passes well, was quite accurate. At times in that second half when we did need to press high, he did get involved. Do you know what I mean? Defending, he wasn't too bad. Defensively, I didn't think it was too bad up until that chance, until that Watkins goal. So I personally would keep him. I would. Okay. I mean, if you put Eric Dyer, then do we risk having another Wolves performance with Højbjerg in again?
Anything's possible. So, guys, that was your instant match reaction with me, Barnaby Slater, from the Spurred On podcast. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more of me, check out my daily content on the Spurred On podcast. My handle is in the title. It's at Barnaby Slater _ on YouTube. And you can find me on the podcast platforms, which like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Give us a follow and a subscribe. And find Ash at Southview COYS. Give him a subscribe and a follow. We are going to be back in a few minutes' time with our post-match fan show where you guys can call in and speak to us about that game. Something tells me, Ash, there are going to be some quite, let's say, noisy opinions. Make sure you give We Are Tottenham TV a subscribe and comment and follow wherever you can find them. And we'll see you for that post-match fan show in a few minutes' time. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Love, love, love.